What's going on, everyone? Welcome back as we take another look at the upcoming 2019 NFL Draft. And in this updated mock, I wanted to have a little bit of fun. So as promised, I've included trades, obviously, but even more interestingly, we're going to take a look at what the possible fallout could be in the first round if the Arizona Cardinals decide to pass on Kyler Murray. So with that, let's get right into it. With the first pick overall, the Arizona Cardinals select defensive end Nick Bosa. And as promised, with the Cardinals passing on Kyler Murray, they have to go with the best player available overall, and that to me is Nick Bosa. Look, before these rumors got started about the Cardinals and the Murray marriage, Bosa was the consensus #1 pick, and I think that this is the way that it should go if in fact Murray isn't the selection here. Bosa, he's proven, he's safe, and he's consistent throughout his college career. There's a premium on defensive end talent in the NFL, and Bosa definitely fits the bill. He should be the selection as the best overall player in this draft at #1. At #2, we have our first trade as the Oakland Raiders move up with the 49ers to select quarterback Kyler Murray. In this trade scenario, the Raiders swap picks from 4 to 2 with the 49ers, in addition to giving them their 27th pick in the first round to make this happen. Now look, I realize the scenario of Murray dropping down past the Cardinals unlikely, but let's be honest, the team that's been most affiliated with him after the Cardinals has been the Oakland Raiders. And even though it might seem like a stretch because the Raiders need all the help they can get and need all the draft capital they could use, if any of those reports are slightly true about their interest in Kyler Murray, I could absolutely see this scenario happening because they don't want to risk any other team potentially sniping them, moving up in front of them to select Murray. Murray is widely regarded as potentially the next Russell Wilson. I think right now the Raiders have been non-committal with Derek Carr, so if they can go ahead, make this happen at a cost of a late first-round pick pretty much, I think they would, and ultimately John Gruden and Mike Mayock get their future quarterback to lead that franchise. With the third pick overall, the New York Jets select defensive end Josh Allen, and similar to our first mock, in this version, we have the same pairing for the Jets and Josh Allen. It's a choice that makes sense to me. I do think the Jets will have their pick at Allen or Quinnen Williams, but again, as I've said before, I give Allen the edge. After the Jets missed out on Anthony Barr, I think Allen is the logical choice here. They were saying that they would use Barr in more of a hybrid role to rush the quarterback. Allen fits that bill. He's widely regarded as the second best defensive end after Nick Bosa, so he is the selection for the Jets. At #4, the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock after trading down with the Oakland Raiders and select defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. And to me, this is absolutely the best case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers because if they miss out on Nick Bosa by 1 pick, I do think Quinnen Williams will be the selection. Recent rumors have started flying around that even if Nick Bosa is available at #2, the 49ers could very well consider Quinnen Williams there instead, and it makes sense. Look, we don't know about the future of Solomon Thomas. He has under-delivered so far in San Francisco, and Quinnen Williams is regarded as the second best player after Nick Bosa. So it comes down to what do you value more here in terms of the 49ers selection. And for all you 49ers fans that might be bummed out that the Niners are missing out on a guy like Nick Bosa, look, don't be, because in this scenario, not only do the 49ers still get the best available player in the draft by far, but they also do so by moving down and stockpiling an extra pick. So the 49ers, yet again, are big winners in this draft. With the 5th pick overall, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select linebacker Devin White. And look, similar to last time, Devin White is the selection here. And I did say before that I could see the Bucs trading down, but the more and more I think about this selection, the more I think a team that would be wanting to trade up this far would probably be looking at Devin White. I'm thinking of teams like the Detroit Lions, like the Denver Broncos, like the Cincinnati Bengals, all need elite linebacker play. But guess what? So did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I doubt they would make a trade happen with any of those teams. And if that is the scenario, they stay put here and get their guy that would replace Quan Alexander, and to me is the best linebacker to come out of this class, right in front of Devin Bush. Devin White has got that explosiveness. He can cover, he can hit, and I think he would make a great fit for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With the 6th pick overall, the New York Giants select offensive lineman Jawaan Taylor. And the more and more I think about the selection, the more and more I lean towards the Giants passing on Dwayne Haskins, even if he is available here. And honestly, at this point in time, all those rumors that you're hearing about the Giants and Haskins, I think you almost have to disregard, because one day you hear one thing and the next something completely different. Now, honestly, I would love to get some input from New York Giants fans here, because I think this spot this early in the draft is still a big question mark. And what do you think happens here? Do you think that your team is really invested in Dwayne Haskins? If not, who's going to be the selection? I personally think it's going to be offensive linemen. Now, previously, I did have defensive end Montez Sweat slotted here, but the more I think about it, the more I see another elite defensive end still be available for the Giants in that 2nd pick that they have later on in the 1st. For that reason, they upgrade the trenches, typical Dave Gettleman move, and in some fashion follow in the footsteps of the Dallas Cowboys as they upgrade the offensive line, fill some missing pieces after upgrading it last year. They've already got their Ezekiel Elliott clone and Saquon Barkley, and this sets up their rebuild for the future by selecting an elite offensive lineman. With the 7th pick overall, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock as they trade up with the Jacksonville Jaguars in order to select linebacker Devin Bush. And in order for this trade to happen, the Bengals will likely have to give up a 2nd round pick this year, or maybe a future 2020 pick instead. But focusing in on the pick itself, linebacker is a huge area of need, and Devin Bush is the next best available linebacker, and it's not even close. Afterwards, there is a big fall off in my mind, and there are a lot of teams that need linebacker help before the Bengals, Lions, and Broncos specifically. That's why the Bengals are forced to make this move, and good news at least, though, it fits a huge area of need. The linebacker position is one that was very much so struggling last year, now even more so with the departure of Montez Burfict. Other selections that would make sense also offensive line, potentially as a sleeper quarterback, but that really depends on how Zach Taylor feels on Andy Dalton moving forward. For now, we go with the logical selection at linebacker, and that is Devin Bush. At number 8, we have another trade as the Atlanta Falcons trade up with the Detroit Lions in order to select defensive tackle Ed Oliver. As far as price tags go, this will likely be a similar cost with a 2nd round pick or a future 2020 pick instead. But for now, the selection itself, it's one that makes a lot of sense for the Falcons. Even though they franchised Grady Jarrett, they don't know what his long-term future will be with the organization. That's why they have to go ahead and land Ed Oliver. He is by a lot of people regarded as the next best defensive tackle right after Quinnen Williams, and a lot of people have that separation as not too far off. For that reason, the Falcons do have to make this trade because the Buffalo Bills are right there at number 9. They just lost Kyle Williams, and they have a hole at that position as well. I think if Ed Oliver is still available there, the Bills will pull the trigger on him. For that reason, the Falcons move up and land their guy at number 8. With the 9th pick overall, the Buffalo Bills select offensive lineman Jonah Williams, and after seeing Ed Oliver chosen right before them at number 8, the Bills decide to turn their attention to another area of need on the offensive line and protecting Josh Allen, and especially considering how much he likes to rush and scramble. This is a selection that makes a lot of choice, giving him some more time to do so. Jonah Williams is considered one of the safest offensive linemen coming out in this year's draft. The Bills need to upgrade the line across the board pretty much. And other than potentially going with the weapon for Josh Allen, I think that's too early at this point in time. Potentially, if they trade down, they could also look at defensive tackle, but I do think Christian Wilkins here is a bit of a reach. For that reason, they go next best available player, and it still fits an area of need. Jonah Williams is the selection. With the 10th pick overall, the Denver Broncos select quarterback Drew Lock. And when it comes to this pick, it's again one that has me debating what exactly is the best area that should be addressed by this franchise, similar to the New York Giants. Do you go ahead and believe all those reports about quarterback infatuation between John Elway and Drew Lock? Or do you go ahead and think, well, maybe the Broncos should be addressing their biggest areas of need, which are probably the linebacker play and play in the secondary? But guess what? Devin Bush, Devin White, both gone. Too big of a drop-off for another linebacker selection. Secondary, I still think you could get better value later on in this draft. I think it's a little bit too early to be selecting the first defensive back. So for that reason, we go back to this report that's been circulating for a very long time now, and that is that John Elway is absolutely in love with Drew Lock. He's going to groom him to be the next future franchise quarterback for the Broncos. I realize Joe Flacco was just traded for, but guess what? He is at this point a bridge quarterback. I don't see him being as the long-term answer in Denver. For that reason, Drew Lock is the selection here. At number 11, the Jacksonville Jaguars are back on the clock after trading down and now select tight end TJ Hockenson. Look, the Jaguars do need some help offensively. They could potentially go defensive line here, but I just think the appeal of TJ Hockenson, who can also block extremely well as the top-rated tight end coming out of this year's draft, makes too much sense. The addition of Nick Foles and all the success that he had in Philadelphia with his tight ends, why not bring that to Jacksonville as well? Add an elite tight end that can do it all. Offensive line is also an option, but you get a little bit of a bonus in TJ Hockenson, who is a great run blocker, pass blocker. You can insert him in those situations. For that reason, he is the selection here and a great value pick for the Jaguars. With the 12th pick overall, the Washington Redskins are on the clock as they trade up with the Green Bay Packers in order to select quarterback Dwayne Haskins. Now look, I realize in my last mock, I had the Redskins still selecting Dwayne Haskins, and that was without any trades at number 15. But the reality of things is that in all likelihood, even if Dwayne Haskins does begin to drop outside of the top 10, there will immediately be a plethora of phone calls going amongst teams that need quarterback. And I don't think the Redskins are going to be able to sit at number 15 and still land Dwayne Haskins. I think they're going to have to jump some teams, and that includes the Green Bay Packers. Works out for the Packers, though, because before I had him taking TJ Hockenson, who was selected right before them by the Jaguars. So for that reason, they're able to go ahead, go back a little bit, get some draft capital, and Dwayne Haskins finds his home in Washington, where a quarterback is a dire need for that team. Alex Smith, will he ever play again? Case Keenum, he's not the long-term answer. Insert Dwayne Haskins. He can learn a little bit from the guys that are there currently, but he can be the future for that team. Wide receiver also a possibility. Possibly offensive line, but I think you go ahead, address the most important position with Dwayne Haskins, who at this point in time is great value and a quarterback that you don't have to give up too much for as you're only moving up 3 spots. With the 13th pick overall, the Miami Dolphins select defensive end Montez Sweat. Now, previously, I had the Dolphins going offensive line here, but with the selections of Jonah Williams and Jawaan Taylor already having taken place, they turned their attention to the defensive line, specifically edge rusher. Now, if the Dolphins really are intent on taking 2019 in order to select a quarterback in 2020, I do think the logical choices here are either offensive line or defensive line. I think there's a little bit of a drop-off after those 2 offensive linemen that we mentioned to go ahead and select another one in 13. That's why I could also see a trade-back scenario for the Dolphins, stockpile some more picks, add some more talent later on. But if they stay put, I think they go next best available defensive end. To me, that is Sweat. Now, I will say I've adjusted my view on the heart condition for him a little bit. I think it'd be silly to say that it won't hurt his draft stock a little bit, maybe 2, 3, 4 picks, something like that. But in all reality, all it takes is one team to go ahead and take a chance on him, a team that really values him, what he did in the combine, and I think the Dolphins could be that team. At number 14, the Detroit Lions are now back on the clock, and they select Rashan Gary after trading down with the Atlanta Falcons. Great pick in this scenario for the Lions because they still get the player that I originally had them projected going with. Defensive end, Michigan, hometown kid. Rashan Gary is an athletic freak. The biggest thing with him is a lot of people don't know what type of scheme fit he will be best suited for, but I do think a guy like Matt Patricia, a guy that has a defensive background, can find a place for Rashan Gary. I do think Ziggy Ansah not being there anymore, I realize they have got Trey Flowers, but pair him up with Rashan Gary. I think that's a really nice combination. Great value for the Lions here on top of getting extra draft picks. At number 15, after trading down, the Green Bay Packers select wide receiver DK Metcalf. And originally, I had the Packers going TJ Hockenson here. I think it fit a big area of need for them going tight end, considering Jimmy Graham isn't getting any younger. TJ Hockenson can be a great blocker, but like we said before, if Hockenson isn't available, wouldn't be surprised at all if the Green Bay Packers trade back a little bit, or if they stay put and select another offensive piece. Either way, I could see them going, if it's a wide receiver with DK Metcalf, think of the possibilities of him and Aaron Rodgers. For all the people that think that DK Metcalf could be a bust, that he was just a combine freak, If there's a quarterback in this league that can maximize his potential, I think it would be Aaron Rodgers. He's going to give him every single opportunity. On top of playing opposite of Davante Adams, there's going to be a lot of double coverage going the way of Adams, which is going to open up things for DK Metcalf and an opportunity for him to realize his max potential. I really like the fit of Metcalf in Green Bay. With the 16th pick overall, the Carolina Panthers select offensive lineman Andre Dillard. And similar to our last mock, in this updated version, we have the same pairing between team and player with the Panthers and Dillard. And as someone that follows the Panthers very closely, I know a lot of people are saying the Panthers need to go ahead, replace Julius Peppers after he retired, get a defensive end. But guess what? You can go ahead and get that on day 2. There's so much depth at that position. But where you really need to focus is the offensive line, in my opinion. I feel very strongly about this. Heck, the Panthers haven't had a legitimate left tackle since the retirement of Jordan Gross. Don't get me started on Matt Khalil and the failure that he was. He was well deservedly cut. I think Andre Dillard can go ahead, be projected as a day 1 starting left tackle, if you ask me. The Panthers did themselves a favor by re-signing Darrell Williams, so all of a sudden that offensive line becomes a strong point. They could potentially also go wide receiver here, but I think it's a little bit too early. In my opinion, go ahead, upgrade that offensive line, protect Cam's blind side, keep him healthy, and then address the other needs later on in the draft. At number 17, the New York Giants select defensive end Clelin Ferrell. And again, I think this is a really good value pick for the Giants. They address the line yet again, but this time on the defensive side of things. After shoring up the offensive line, they address the departure of Olivier Vernon by adding Clelin Ferrell. A great value pick here. Previously, I had them going Montez Sweat, maybe a little bit too early, admittedly so, at number 6. Instead, at number 17, add Clelin Ferrell, who has less question marks surrounding him than Montez Sweat. Maybe a little bit more polished than him as well. Maybe a little bit more consistent on top of that. I think he's going to be a guy that fits very well into what the Giants are wanting to do in upgrading the talent on both offensive and defensive line side of things. Fits what Dave Gettleman wants to do, a big body guy that can dominate. For that reason, Ferrell is the choice for the Giants in a home run hit, in my opinion. At number 18, the Minnesota Vikings select offensive lineman Cody Ford. And this is a selection that I've kept the same from my first mock, only because it's a marriage that makes so much sense between both sides. For Cody Ford, I think he's the next best available offensive lineman left on my big board. And if the Vikings take him here, I don't think it's a big reach. I think it's a good value, if anything. On top of this, the Vikings, they need help at this position. Look, it's going to open up more running holes for Dalvin Cook, but more importantly, it's going to keep Kirk Cousins upright. He's going to have more time to find Diggs, Thielen, and Kyle Rudolph. And for everyone worried about that Minnesota defense, look, Mike Zimmer is still there. He's a defensive-minded guy. I think he will improve the situation. For now, shift focus to a bigger area of need and getting that offense humming like it was planned to be in 2018. That's why Ford is the selection here. At number 19, the Tennessee Titans select center guard Garrett Bradbury. And for the Titans, they're one of these teams that I don't think have too many glaring holes at a lot of positions. But if I had to go ahead and put my money in it, I think they go either on offensive line or defensive line choice here. The reason I'm favoring offensive line more so this go around is because the more I think about it, the more I'm coming to the conclusion that this will probably be the last opportunity for Marcus Mariota to prove that he can be the franchise quarterback for Tennessee. He keeps having injury issues. Heck, that's why Ryan Tannehill is now a Tennessee Titan. And make no mistakes about it, he'll be breathing down Marcus Mariota's neck for probably the entire season. So what better way to give Marcus Mariota every opportunity to prove himself than giving him a stud offensive lineman? Now, Bradbury is an interesting choice because I think he can be an all-pro center, potentially be a good quality guard as well. Now, I do think the Titans, if they draft him, will likely play him at guard, so that is something to keep an eye out for there. Whoever goes ahead and takes a chance on Bradbury, that will be something to monitor. At number 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers select cornerback Greedy Williams. And similar to my last mock, I've got the Steelers sticking to cornerback help. The only difference this time is Williams from LSU. And the reason for this mainly is because I don't have a clear-cut consensus number 1 DB in this draft yet. It's between Greedy Williams, DeAndre Baker, and Byron Murphy. And honestly, I think a lot of other teams are probably in the same boat. So it's going to come down to personal preference. Right now, I've got Greedy at number 1. That could potentially change moving forward again. Keep an eye out for that, but also some other options to consider here. Maybe wide receiver after the departure of Antonio Brown. I'm sure the Steelers would love some linebacker help, but right now, the drop-off is too large. That's why DB is the choice at number 20. At number 21, the Indianapolis Colts have traded up with the Seattle Seahawks to select defensive end Brian Burns, and this will likely cost the Colts a second-round pick, something in that nature. But right now, the Colts, they're moving up because they're in a window where they have a very legitimate chance of making a deep run in the AFC. Andrew Luck back healthy. That offensive line is a strong point. Wide receivers, strong point with the addition of Devin Funchess. You've got plenty of talent at the tight end position, so that leaves the defense. And I do think the addition of Justin Houston has helped, but he doesn't have too many years left in my opinion. That's why go ahead, add the next best defensive end. Similar to what we saw the Saints do last year with Marcus Davenport, I think the Colts would be in a good position to move up and land Brian Burns. At number 22, the Baltimore Ravens select wide receiver Parris Campbell, and similar to last time, I have got the Ravens addressing the wide receiver position. Look, Lamar Jackson is the quarterback. He is a run-first quarterback, but that doesn't mean you don't need to surround him with weapons. Michael Crabtree not there anymore. John Brown not there anymore. The Ravens need some help, and Campbell, with the speed that he has, he will be able to pair himself up with that arm that Lamar Jackson possesses and go ahead and maybe hit some of those deep ball opportunities. I think it's a nice pairing. Hopefully the Ravens finally hit on a wide receiver in the first round. With the 23rd pick, the Houston Texans select offensive lineman Greg Little. And in this scenario, it might be Little, but in reality, even if Little isn't available, the Texans absolutely have to upgrade that offensive line. They need to protect Deshaun Watson. He was absolutely getting crushed last year. Honestly, every single one of the picks that the Houston Texans should be on the offensive line side of things. That's how much they need to upgrade it. For now, Greg Little, the best available offensive lineman left. It's as simple as that. He is the choice to Houston. At number 24, the Oakland Raiders select defensive tackle Christian Wilkins. And after taking Murray with their first pick, the Raiders now turn their attention to their defense and select the next best available defensive player, and that is Wilkins. He might not fit the bill for them per se because they might need an edge rusher a little bit more so, that Khalil Mack role. But regardless, their defense was so bad that they just need to add more and more defensive talent. Wilkins fits the bill there. I think he is a nice choice. Another option would be tight end with the departure of Jared Cook, so Noah Fant is also a possibility. But for now, after going quarterback with their first pick, they go defense here, and Wilkins is the choice. At number 25, the Philadelphia Eagles select offensive lineman Dalton Risner. And similar to last time, I have got the Eagles addressing the offensive line. I think they need to get younger at that position. On top of that, I do like the potential of Risner. He's a big, athletic, and physical guy. I think he will help things up in the rushing attack, especially now with the addition of Jordan Howard. No longer will we be mocking running backs to them in the early couple of rounds. Additionally, Carson Wentz needs to stay healthy. What better way to do that than adding a big offensive lineman that can help keep him on his feet, help keep the pocket clean, especially with the safety blanket of Nick Foles gone. Another option here is to go cornerback, especially with all the injuries the Eagles had there last year. But I do think offensive lineman is a little bit more pressing, so Risner is the pick. At number 26, the Seattle Seahawks are back on the clock after trading down with the Indianapolis Colts and now select safety Taylor Rapp. This is a pairing that I really like. Rapp, a local kid from Washington. Washington known for producing great secondary players. And this is an area of need for the Seattle Seahawks after the departure of Earl Thomas. I said it last mock that I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle goes safety. That's what I'm projecting now. Defensive end, defensive line help in general is also a possibility. Wouldn't be surprised if they address that in the second round, especially now with the stockpiled pick from Indianapolis. At number 27, the 49ers find themselves picking again in the first round after the earlier trade with the Oakland Raiders and select now defensive back DeAndre Baker. And along with Greedy Williams and Byron Murphy, like I said before, I see Baker as one of the top three defensive back. Not a lot of separation between the three. It'll be interesting to see how these other teams value them. But for now, for the 49ers, look, Richard Sherman isn't getting any younger. Go ahead, add Baker as a potential replacement or someone that can start opposite of him. I think the offense right now is in a good position for the 49ers. They address the defensive line with their first pick. Now go ahead, address the back end of that defense with the addition of Baker. At number 28, the LA Chargers select defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons, and I really do think Simmons will be a late round, first round pick. Even with that injury, the talent is just too large to ignore. He probably would have been the second defensive tackle taken after Quinnen Williams, or maybe third, right around there, probably a top 10 pick. So the Chargers are getting good value here. The only thing is they probably will have to wait a little bit longer until Simmons can take the field. But projections are, at least at this early point in time, that he will potentially be able to play parts of the season. Chargers likely will be in playoff contention, so I do think he will be a welcome addition once he returns. At number 29, the Kansas City Chiefs select cornerback Byron Murphy. And we all know how much Kansas City struggled defensively last year, especially in the secondary. They did add Rashan Breeland, but I don't think he's a long-term solution. Murphy is my last of the top 3 defensive backs left. So at this point, not only does it address an area of need, but also really good value for the Chiefs. Murphy to Kansas City, shoring up a secondary that needs some help. At number 30, the Green Bay Packers select tight end Noah Fant from Iowa. After going wide receiver with their first pick and landing DK Metcalf, now they address the tight end position. While they missed out on TJ Hockenson, they go with the next best available tight end, his teammate from Iowa and Noah Fant. Not as good of a blocker, but should be a nice replacement for Jimmy Graham in the near future. I think at this point you just want to surround Aaron Rodgers with as many offensive weapons as you can. The Packers did a nice job addressing some defensive needs in free agency, so now it's time to load up on offensive talent. At 31, the LA Rams select linebacker Mack Wilson, and even though linebacker is a need, and currently we have got Wilson slotted here, I could see the Rams going a plethora of different ways, potentially shoring up some losses from that offensive line, additionally some secondary help or defensive tackle help, considering Ndamukong Suh likely won't be back. Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, they're not getting any younger. Peters didn't play up to what they were expecting for that reason. A lot of different ways they could go, but I do like the fit for Mack Wilson at this point in time. With the final pick in the first round, the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots select tight end Irv Smith Jr. And with the recent retirement of Rob Gronkowski, this is now a big area of need for the Patriots. Now, personally, I think anytime you add more weapons to Tom Brady, that's a good idea. But when you pair that and add weapons in an area of need, that's even a bigger win, and I think that's what this will be for the Patriots. Obviously, it's tough to replace Rob Gronkowski, but I do like Irv Smith Jr. Would have loved to have seen Noah Fant be available here, but I have got Smith Jr. as my third best available tight end here. The Patriots add another weapon and fill an area of need. Good fit here. And with that, we conclude our look into the first round of this upcoming 2019 NFL Draft, specifically this updated mock 2.0 version. And as always, let me know what you guys thought. Did you agree, disagree with the selections taking place? Obviously, this version now includes trades, so let me hear it on the trade front as well. Are there some other trades that you think are likely to occur? And then obviously the big thing, the Kyler Murray selection. There's going to be a lot to say about that. Let me know what you guys think will happen with the Kyler Murray pick. Right now, we had a little bit of fun here and we looked at what would happen if he wasn't selected by the Arizona Cardinals. And as always, let me know what you think your favorite team will do in the comments section. If you have any questions, let me hear them as well. And as always, if you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in future videos.